that's not how any of this works. This is it. I did not expect the direction that this romance story took.
Hey guys, my name is Yasmina and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to challenge myself to read something that is very much outside of my normal genre, so it's very much outside of my comfort zone, and that is historical romance. I thought let's just dive in and see what I've been missing, because a lot of people really love this genre and I just want to give it a try. Maybe it's for me, maybe it's not for me, but that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to show you my TBR for the books that I plan on reading. I have 3 books, so I figured if I read 3 books in the genre, all by different authors, but all that are quite popular series, I'm gonna get a more full idea of the genre. These are the books that I'm planning on reading. Now, of course, the first one is The Duke and I by Julia Quinn, which is the first book in the Bridgerton series. As you can see, when I bought it, it says coming to Netflix. It wasn't yet out, and then it blew up. And everyone is talking about the show. I have not watched the show. I want to read the book first, and then maybe watch the show and do a comparison. I think that might be fun. Okay, the second one is Romancing the Duke, another Duke theme by Tessa Dare, and this is in the Castles Ever After series. This is also one that I've researched and that seems to be incredibly popular in the genre, and so I thought I would give it a go. And the third one that I picked up is called Devil in Spring by Lisa Kleypas. This is the Ravenels book 3, so it's actually not the first book in a series, but from what I've read, you don't necessarily have to read them in order of publication, because I'm pretty sure they follow different main characters, maybe from the same family, but it's okay to read them out of order, and this is the one that piqued my interest most out of her series. So yes, these are the 3 historical romance novels that I'm gonna dive into, and yeah, I'm really excited, honestly, to read them and see what I think. I'll be honest, I think I'm gonna like them. I love stuff like Downton Abbey and BBC historical dramas, and so if you just add a little bit of romance to that, I think I will like these, but we'll see. I'm gonna have a reading vlog and then a wrap up at the end to tell you what I thought about all of these books, and yeah, stay tuned for the rest of this video.
Hello, it is much later. I'm in a new house since I filmed the intro of that video, but I have started reading The Duke and I am about 100 pages in, and you know what? I actually really like this. I really like the author's writing style. It's super witty and quirky. It kind of reminds me of sort of if Jane Austen would write now, because obviously Julia Quinn is a contemporary author, but this is historical fiction. So the writing style is obviously modern, but it has that kind of Jane Austen sensibility to it. The characters so far, I'm really enjoying their banter, and I actually really like the chemistry between the 2 main characters, which is always, you know, at least in romance for me, if I feel like there isn't really chemistry between the 2 people that are supposed to get together, then I'm not really that interested in the romance subplot. But since obviously this is purely a romance book, that is the entire plot. So if I don't like the chemistry between the characters, then what's the point? But thankfully, so far at least, I really like this. I'm enjoying it, and it's quite a fast read. I think I spoke too soon in the previous clip, because I finished this. It kind of went downhill for me, not gonna lie, towards the end, towards the sort of third part of this novel. Okay, so until then, I really enjoyed it, or I enjoyed it. The beginning was definitely, I think, the strongest part, and then the steamy scenes started coming in, which were fine. There was some weird word choices in there for sure. There were some awkward word choices, but overall, just okay, it was fine. And then something happened, which was a big plot point. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's something the main character does, and I just kind of no. It was so bad. Like, it was really bad. It was a really horrible thing for her to do. It was just kind of brushed off, really, or used as a plot point to further the plot. It just ruined it for me. Like, it just ruined it for me. And then it kind of went downhill from there. There was also some stuff that annoyed me about the writing. I tabbed one specific instance of this where the main 2 characters are having a conversation, and then it says, Daphne's heart stopped. Simon moved ever closer. Her heart started again with a vengeance. And that's just That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. If her heart stopped, she would be dead. And I understand why it's used here, but no, just no. I gave this 3 stars because it was fine until it went downhill. In my head, it's more like a 2.5, to be honest. I'm not sure I'm gonna continue on with the series, probably not. However, I did watch the first episode of the Netflix show. It was okay, but to be honest, I much prefer the chemistry between the 2 main characters in the book than the one that was portrayed in the show. So I haven't really continued with the show. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But as for the book, overall, it was a meh. So there's 2 more romance novels that I'm going to read for this video, so hopefully I will like those a little bit better. I already finished the next book. This is Romancing the Duke. To be honest, after The Duke and I was a little bit apprehensive about picking up another one of these historical romances. I loved this. Like, this was so enjoyable. I had so much fun reading this. Like, I did not expect to enjoy myself so much reading another historical romance, but this is it. Like, this was so good. Like, if this is how this genre is supposed to be, then I'm definitely into it. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. It was almost perfect. Like, I thought it was so perfectly paced and everything was so well plotted, but I did feel like it came off a little bit towards the end. There was a bit of weird things towards the end, but overall I really enjoyed this. Like, I had so much fun reading this. This is definitely spicy, definitely has some explicit scenes in it, but not too much. It's definitely more focused on the plot and the character development, and I love these 2 characters. This is about a young woman who inherits a castle, but the castle comes with a blind and grumpy duke who thinks he owns the castle and he does not want to move out. But now the castle belongs to this young lady. They kind of have to figure their situation out, and it's kind of an enemies to lovers trope, and it was so enjoyable. Like, it was so enjoyable. I really like these characters and I totally believed their, courting, and it was just so much fun. It was also really funny at times, and like I said, spicy at times, and it just it was a great blend of everything, and I would definitely read more of these books every once in a while. It's definitely not something I would read all the time, but if I would be in the mood for something like this, I'll definitely pick up another one in this series because I'm pretty sure they follow different characters in like the same universe. But yeah, really enjoyed this, really recommend this if you're up for some spicy historical fiction. This was really fun. I'm looking forward to reading the last book for this video as well. So I'm about 200 pages into the 3rd and final book that I'm going to read for this historical or romance reading vlog. I'm enjoying this. It's nice. It's quite nice. I'm really enjoying the main character. I think she's interesting and different, although she is a bit of like, not like other girls type of character. But she is interesting for sure. I've never really read about a character like her, so I do think it's interesting. Although the sort of courtship between her and the main love interest is a little bit forced. I mean, it's part of the plot that it's forced. And so to tell you a little bit more, in this one, we have the main character who gets stuck in an unflattering position in garden furniture, and the main love interest helps her extricate herself out of the situation, but they get caught in a sort of compromising position, even though he was only trying to help her out of that situation. But because of the rumors that might spread about the two, the main character is now ruined, damaged goods, and he must marry her, otherwise no man will ever marry her again. But she does not want to marry ever, not him, not anyone ever. So it's essentially the guy trying to convince her that, it is actually a good thing for us to get married, and he does seem to like her from the start. So it's interesting in that sense because it's the guy wanting to marry the girl and her having none of it. Okay, I finished the last book. I did not expect the direction that this romance story took. We went from sweet, complicated sort of romance to feminist mystery detective story to medical journal to businesswoman in the Victorian era. But I really liked that. If it hadn't turned into that, I think I would have given it a lower star rating. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. It's like a 3.5 out of 5 stars because, like I said, the romance itself wasn't my favorite because it felt a little bit forced. It felt more like a, marriage of convenience kind of than true love. But everything surrounding the main character and like I said, the sort of feminist outlook on everything, amazing. So good. But I just didn't expect that in what I thought this book was going to be compared to the other two that I'd read. So, like I said, our main character does not want to marry, and that's mainly because she wants to start, or she is starting her own board game company. And in the Victorian era, women, once they married, were not allowed to own a company. We're not allowed to do business. We're just, everything belonged to their husband once they married. They could not be a business person at all. But the love interest is very accommodating to these conditions, and he fights, the law to make these sort of conditions more acceptable to her. But yeah, then it sort of turns into kind of like a murder detective story. And we also see the first female surgeon in Britain, and we see a lot of sort of medical advancements at the time, and there's a lot of mention of feminism and how Queen Victoria herself was against the suffragettes, was against women having rights. And at the back, the author also talks a lot about how intentional this was and her research on women's rights in the Victorian era, and again how Queen Victoria, she quotes Queen Victoria saying these things, and putting women down. And yeah, it was really interesting, and for that, I gave this a higher rating, and for that reason, I would recommend this because it's so different compared to the first two that I read for this video. So yeah, definitely pick this up if you're up for some different historical romance that goes beyond the romance and more into the actual historical aspect of it.
Okay, just in time for Valentine's Day. Even though I started, the intro for this video, as you saw, this was filmed last year, around the beginning of last year, but finally I made it this year to reading the 3 historical romances that I wanted to try out for this video. So let's recap just quickly. So the first one I read was, of course, The Duke and I by Julia Quinn, the first book in the Bridgerton series, which I didn't really like, and upon further sort of thinking about it, I actually downgraded my star rating from 3 to a 2. And this was in my least favorite books of 2021 video, if you've seen that, so yeah, not the best. Then I have Romancing the Duke by Tessa Dare, which was definitely my favorite of the 3. The romance and the originality and the characters and the humor in this, I think, were just top notch, and the pacing and everything was just really well done. So this was definitely my favorite. And then lastly, Devil in Spring, which I just finished. Though the romance in it was nothing special, like I said, the feminist turns that this took towards the end are really, really good and really unexpected. And for that reason alone, I would definitely recommend this one. So really, I would recommend Romancing the Duke if you're up for some steamy, really awesome romance that'll get your heart going and you'll really like these characters, I promise you. Or Devil in Spring if you're up for something a little bit different, a little more daring for the historical time period that this was set in, then I would recommend this one. But yeah, I really enjoyed these, and as a whole, I can say that I do like historical romance, but it's definitely not something that I can read all the time. I think it's definitely something that I might pick up every once in a while when I'm in the mood for something like this. It's just kind of a fun, escapist, almost guilty pleasure, but I don't like calling things guilty pleasures because, if you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it. Why do we have to bring that down somehow by calling it a guilty pleasure? Just let people enjoy what they enjoy and, leave it at that. So yeah, let me know if you've read any of these 3 books or if you read historical romance in general. What are some of your favorites? Leave your recommendations for me down in the comment section below, because like I said, I would love to pick up some more at some point in the future, and for that I would love to have sort of more recommendations to go to. And yeah, let me know if you are thinking of picking up any of the 3 books that I'm talking about in this video. But I think that was everything that I wanted to say for this, so click here for another trying out a different genre reading vlog where I tried out reading cozy mysteries to see how that turned out, and click here for my best books that I read in 2021. But yeah, otherwise I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time in a new video. Bye!